at Fermat. We are fermatcommerce.com. You probably already visited the website and got hit with a pixel or two on your way in here today. If you have any questions along the way, you can holler at me. I am simply Aaron at fermatcommerce.com. You can also find me at Aaron Orndorff on the X, the Twitters, or on LinkedIn. But here's the thing. Even though I'm very excited to talk to you about how Fermat lets you create funnels the same way you create ads, and we're talking landing pages, custom PDPs, even cart experiences connected directly from the front end of your ad platforms or email or SMS or QR codes all the way to your Shopify or Salesforce backend, that is not what you came here today to hear about, not in total. Anyway, in fact, my face is not the face you came here to see today. So even though there's a few previews back there behind me, Willow, my illustrious producer today, big thank you. Why don't you go ahead and throw up the faces that people actually show up here? There it is. All right. This is the Singularity experimentation to unlock wins. 15 plus D2C leaders. I like to call them D2C heavyweights, a who's who from the brand side over to SaaS, some agency. We've got fractional folks in the mix, always over indexing on the brand front. And I don't even have time to tell you all of their names here at the top because we have got to jump into this. What I have tasked each and every one of the presenters today with is 3 things. I've given them 5 minutes. So go ahead and show them what that 5 minutes looks like. We're going to keep them honest here. True e-commerce fashion countdown timer on top of them. 5 minutes each, no slides, and a single experimentation strategy to help you unlock new growth. That's what the Singularity is all about, so that you walk away with at least one practical takeaway. In this case, a test or experimentation framework or a tactic that you can go put into action for your business. So if they fail you and you leave here without a single tactic to go actually put into action, I want to say they didn't fail you. I've seen the previews of what's coming up. It is absolutely hot and practical. So I will say you, dear watcher, listener, have failed yourself. Now, I'm not going to go on for a full 5 minutes. So why don't you reset the clock and we're going to bring up our first contestant to the stage, Phil from Hexclad. Let's do a quick mic check. Phil, tell the people what you do at a little company known as Hexclad.
Hey, everybody. My name is Phil. I am the director of CRO at Hexclad.
Oh, so we are coming out swinging. All right. 5 minutes on the clock. Take it away, good sir.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to open up with a question. Has anybody here ever impulse bought something while laying in bed, with your thumb kind of hovering over that Shop Pay purple button? I have, and I'm not proud of it. I have many times, and so that actually brings me to my strategy today. Something that I think that all e-commerce brands should be focusing in on is just the usage and the visual prominence of that accelerated payment. One thing we did at Hexclad is we tested this 5 different times across multiple different URLs to pretty much validate the global strategy, right? So if we're going to add accelerated payments to PDPs and cart level, we wanted to make sure that the AOV didn't drop, because you're sending users straight to the checkout. So basically, with that being said, every time I've tested this across the board, we've had positive signals. Now, some considerations to think about when you're testing this. The first one I already noted, which is the AOV, but also session time is going to go down. And then Shop Pay, these native payments, they are weird with upsell strategies. So with that being said, what we landed on was only placing it on our highest AOV items, which is, items that are the bundles that we sell, which is, pretty much something we don't need to upsell. So yeah, users are pretty much familiar with Shop Pay. It takes Shop Pay, Apple Pay, all these are kind of synonymous. It takes something that, is 14, 15 digits, credit card, address, all these things. And you can basically purchase something in, 2 to 3 clicks. And from a user or fresh user seeing your paid ad on social and they're scrolling in their downtime, they're more likely to purchase it if they see these things because it acts almost as trust signals. These users have bought something, especially on Shopify, through a different brand, different thing. And so if they see that familiarity on a higher level on your site funnel, then they're more likely to, something we say, lower the threat of the purchase. And so your conversion rate is going to, pretty much be a lot higher. And with the thousands and thousands of users that we've seen this through the 5 tests that we've tested, all positive signals. So I know I'm ending a little early, but that is the strategy that I want. If you're an e-commerce brand, test it on your PDPs, test it on your cart, and test it under the CTA on the PDP as a secondary thing, because you'll see, you'll probably see a conversion rate lift, and measure that with the AOV drop, and I'm almost going to guarantee you that it's going to be worth the trade-off.
Now, did you say, because I typed this out, only on the highest AOV products, which in your case is the bundles?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. So even though they were positive signals, the other ones were dynamic with upsells. And so we wanted to keep those flexible. Now we have a $3,000 set that has everything, in it. It's called the Everything But the Kitchen Sink bundle. And so we questioned ourselves, why do we want to upsell a $100 pan when it's probably already in the bundle? And it, basically we want them to purchase without upselling and send them straight to the cart. So e-commerce brands that have a wide range of products, I would try testing it first on your biggest AOV items where you don't want to upsell or, skip. Like if you're really focused on them just purchasing and kind of validating that, then that's where I would test first, and then slowly roll out to the rest of your site.
See, and I would have thought the opposite direction, especially for a high AOV, high consideration brand like Hexclad, that you would want to actually roll it out with the smaller purchases, a sense of like, okay, let's see if the smaller fish will bite to do something that's lower friction, easier, quick to go. But the fact that you're actually doing in the opposite direction, and what you just said there about testing on the product pages themselves as the #1 spot on those higher AOV and then working your way backwards, that's the kind of takeaway I'm thinking for you to isolate, because then that also gives you a far more controlled sample of what exactly are the PDPs and the products themselves that we're using this on. How does that affect AOV at large? How does it affect conversion rate? Yes, I am digging it. Absolutely. All right, sir. Thank you so much. And we're going to go right ahead next to Phil Goes Down, and Kristen from Caden Lane is coming up next. Now, Kristen, do please tell the people your title there at Caden Lane.
I am the CFO and COO at Caden Lane.
Now, what in the world? And go ahead and hit that timer, even though I'm still talking.
I know, it's like, why the hell is she here? Why is she here? Okay, I'm gonna tell you why I'm here. One, Aaron asked me to be, but number 2 is I want everybody on the call to basically think of your experiment strategies from the CFO's perspective a little bit, because those are sometimes the hardest person you have to sell to, right? Marketing team is on board all the time. They're ready to go. But sometimes your CFO and whoever's managing the P&L, they're a harder sell. So my whole line is how to make the CFO think experimentation was their idea. And I've got 2 buckets. 1, experimentation is not usually free. And number 2, gut feelings are for founders and psychics. And we'll talk about both of those. So going back to the first one. Okay, experimentation is not always free. Now, if you're Hexclad and you're printing money, it might already be baked into the budget, but not everyone has an endless budget to experiment with, right? And sometimes you come across things that you're like, hey, this is a great idea. Let's test this. Well, guess what? It probably wasn't in the budget. So when you're going to your CFO, whoever's managing the P&L, let's take a second and let's respect the fact that it wasn't in the budget. Let's respect that just for a hot minute, okay? Just have a little respect for it. And if you can respect it, I'm gonna give you some ways that you can get the money that you're looking for to test with. Number 1 is, I guarantee you there's something that's not performing on your site. I guarantee you there's a channel that hasn't driven efficiency in years. I guarantee you there's a tech stack that you're probably sitting on and you're paying like $5 grand a month and nobody's actually using it. And if you log into your users, there's probably 1 person that's logged in the last 6 months. So these are areas where sometimes if somebody says, hey, I want to spend X amount of money on this project, this experiment, I'm gonna go, hey, that sounds really amazing. Where are you gonna get the money for it? So I'd like to give this example. If someone comes to you with a problem, that's great, but also come to me with 3 possible solutions. So if you come to me with a budget request, also come to me with like 1 or 2 solutions of where you think you can get the money for that experiment. It's gonna serve your team by tenfold, honestly. Like you're gonna find efficiencies, you're gonna shrink up your tech stack, you're gonna take away the things that you're not driving money on, right? So it can only help the business. And now you have this money to go experiment on, and it was almost like it didn't cost anything, but the benefit is that maybe it drives revenue by 10x. Okay, so that's the first point, is basically respect that it's not always in the P&L budget. And 2, be the person that goes and finds the budget for the experiment. It will help sell that so much easier. My second part is going back to gut feelings are for founders and psychics. I do believe this in my soul of souls, because we, as like on the marketing team, you don't have the luxury always to go, oh, I just had this great feeling. Sometimes you got to sell it, you know, a little bit. Define your KPIs. If you can come with the experiment with projected and defined KPIs, the biggest thing that does is whenever the finance team goes and pulls together the P&L, there's no shocks. There's no shock factor. So if you tell me this is going to drive 10x impressions, that's one thing. If you tell me it's going to drive conversion by 2%, if you tell me it's going to drive AOV by 10%, those are all things that trickle down into the P&L that we can make sense. So that's the first thing, is understand what you're even trying to achieve. Going into that, though, a little bit deeper, though, is don't look at things just on the macro level, okay? And here's a good example. Sometimes when you look at things on the macro level, there might be other things that are driving performance for the store that month, right? And you may go, oh, this test that we just ran crushed it because overall performance in the store is doing great. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's something else that's actually driving that increase and you're misattributing the benefit of that test. So just make sure you're not just looking at things on the macro level, you're actually drilling into the experiment. My last tip, and I've got 1 minute left. Katie told me not to talk too fast, but this is so hard, Aaron, is know your product margins when you're doing experimentation. Sometimes if you're a brand that has a lot of different margins across your products, it can seem really great, but when you drill it down into a contribution margin perspective, it may be a net zero. And so if you can educate yourself and go to your, just make sure you're understanding those true net margins on the product level, I think you can set the test up for a lot better success. But anyway, that's what I got. I've got 30 seconds left. So Aaron, do you want to ask me anything, or what we going? What we got?
How can people anticipate a less reasonable, less logical CFO, as was already mentioned in the chat? Because you seem way too wildly reasonable and logical. Of the 3 points,
I've been telling people, tell my husband that I'm the most logical and reasonable person you'll ever meet.
And the way that you arm them with the find something that's underperforming that you're already paying for. Know the KPIs, the hypothesis that you're driving. Don't just look at the macro, look at the micro. And then, man, okay, this was the one that like people like, I don't know, screenshot, give yourself a little note for later, was what you said about knowing the product margins by experiment. Fire. That is the love language, not only of CFOs, but of every CEO I've ever talked to.
You got it, Aaron.
Fabulous. Kristen, take her down. Next up, we're going to keep rolling. Jarrell Blades. Jarrell Justice Blades, I believe, is what I just learned to call. Yes. Good sir, from Tushy, one of my absolutely favorite brands. We're going to put 5 minutes on the clock. I can see you are head of growth at Tushy. So 5 minutes on the clock. As soon as you see that firing, take it away, sir.
Yeah, first of all, happy to be here. I've been watching a bunch of Aaron panels, and when he asked me to hop on, it was a no-brainer. Also, if you're a Tushy fan, show some love in the comments, please. Today, I'm going to be talking about experimentation with top of funnel, more specifically linear TV and connected TV. I could talk about this for an hour, so to keep me focused, I'm going to talk about why now, why TV from a qualitative perspective, why TV from a quantitative perspective, and then how you can test right after this panel. I think that'll keep it pretty focused. So you want to be filling the funnel right now if you're not already doing that, right? So your Q4 wins are dependent on your strategies right now. You want to maximize your impact and revenue potential by creating demand right now. TV, top of funnel, like one of the best places to create that demand. And then you want to capture that demand in Q4. If you have a product like Tushy, where it's like highly educational, a lot of times it's not an impulse buy. It's not like at night over the shop now button. Oftentimes we find. So it's a lot about bringing people through the funnel, educating them now. There's a million ways to do this. We're doing Times Square billboard in September. We're doing wrapped trucks, but TV is one of the most impactful strategies for us. Why? You've got extreme reach. You got lower CPMs most of the time. You've got net new eyeballs. You've got people outside of the revolving door of Meta. For the media buyers on here, if you are struggling with rolling reach, this is the place to go. You've got big screens, right? We like to say that's the place to show up remarkably, right? you're in people's living rooms more often than not, right? Your product, you've got a limited amount of time on a big screen to show up in a really remarkable way that's way larger than the small iPhone screen, right? You've also got oftentimes like 4 people, you know, TV is a ritual, right? So like it has compounding effects, right? When you serve those impressions. You've also got brand validation, right? There's a psychological impact, right? Brands that are on TV, consumers find to be big, established, and for the masses, right? So for us with Tushy, like we are on a crusade to clean butts the right way. And there's no better way to kind of break through the taboo of that in those like larger screen, more validation focused channels like TV and YouTube, out of home, et cetera, right? So those are the qualitative sides. For the quantitative sides, why you should do this right now, I'll give you some actual results from studies we've done. I'll talk about a direct-to-consumer and Amazon study that we did with linear TV. I'll talk about a connected TV study that we did with a cool down period just for direct-to-consumer. In our linear study, we found that just for our .com business, we had like a iROAS of 1x, right? That happened on a range of like 0.5 to 1.5. That means like TV on its worst day was like a 0.5, iROAS on its best day was like a 1.5. The blended result is about a 1, right? We found that the impact on Amazon was way greater though. We had like a 2x on a 1.5 to 2.5x range on Amazon. So please, if you have an Amazon business that is significant, make sure that whenever you're running this, look outside of your dashboards, run your tests, make sure that you are measuring the conversions that could be happening elsewhere, particularly on marketplaces, right? Otherwise, you're just never seeing the full picture. So that's one. We found that linear TV had a large impact on our Amazon business. And when you think about it, oftentimes the people who are watching linear TV just happen to be a lot of the times the people who are shopping on Amazon, right? So they prefer to use Prime there, get their deliveries there. Right. We also did a CTV study with testing and cool down period. We actually saw in the flight period, like a 3x iROAS on a like 2 to 4x range. But when we turned off the ads and we observed a cool down period, that iROAS actually went to a 5x on a 3 to a 7x range. So what that means is that there are these like compounding efforts, right? So if you're looking at 1 month of data, and I'm going to speed up because we've got 50 seconds, you may not see that in the first 30 days. It may actually accumulate over time, particularly for longer tail, higher consideration products. So how can you test right now? Find a good measurement partner, number one. They're not paying me to say this. We use Stella. They're democratizing incrementality testing. It's not super expensive to test. The logic is really sound. So if you're new to TV, I recommend finding that measurement partner, testing in a geo holdout, right? You're going to activate in spaces and regions and show ads and then measure that lift and make sure that those regions have synthetic controls, et cetera, or the correct representation of your business. If you're already on TV, you want to test an inverse holdout, you want to hold regions, you want to study the decline in sales. And if you have ran TV before in the last 10 seconds and you thought it didn't work, run a causal impact study. You can always retroactively look at your performance, believe it or not, and that will always have R squared, MAPE, StatSig, like all the stuff data scientists run. And if you got some good results directionally, try it again. But yeah, I'm out of time.
Come on. All right. This is how you end up getting bothered by Aaron Orndorff a lot more, Mr. Blades. I want to have you come back to talk about iROAS. Oh my goodness, that was fire. And yes, I want to say out loud again, this is being recorded. This will be sent out. You can play Mr. Blades at like a 0.75 instead and annotate everything. That was Stella you mentioned as your measuring partner. Oh, fabulous. And go track him down on LinkedIn. In fact, if you want to drop in, and all of our speakers do want to drop in their LinkedIn, or if it's on Twitter that you're most active, please do that as well. But he's right. Ran out of time. Round of applause. Take him down. Next up, Erica from Love Wellness. Now, Erica doesn't know this. Love Wellness goes back in my heart to my alma mater, Common Thread Collective. I've hung out and been in the mix on their account at multiple places, from CTC, now here at Fermat. So, Erica, I can see Director of Ecom. Are you all set and ready?
I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Let's do it.
Amazing.
Hit that clock.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. So I'm Erica Gray. I oversee ecom retention and CRM at Love Wellness. We're a vitamin and supplement brand. We've really been sort of shaping women's wellness since 2016. Super thrilled to be here. The tactic that I'm sharing today is one of my favorites. We tested it for the first time at the top of the year. It was the first time in my career that we've tested it, and we've learned a ton. So let's get into it. as e-com marketers, we've likely all been or will be sort of faced with the potentially daunting task of increasing AOV. There are a ton of levers you can pull to do that. You know, you can try to move the needle on UPT by upselling accessories and cross-selling, bundling complementary items, or you can go the AUR route and you can try to drive up AUR by pushing higher price SKUs. There's a third bucket that I think not all brands are always thinking about. And this is sort of encouraging customers to buy more of one product that they were already primed to convert on. This third lever is obviously particularly powerful in categories where customers are replenishing products more frequently and consistently. So in our case, we went with the third route. The results were outstanding. We launched what we call a flexible supply plan UX, which is a mouthful, across all of our supplement PDPs. I'm going to drop an example in the chat so you can visualize it. In simple terms, this meant basically we offered our customer 1, 3, or 6 month purchase options with tiered savings with that increased quantity. So now a customer who is ready to convert on, let's say, a probiotic sees an immediate incentive to buy more upfront with the added flexibility to choose sort of what feels right for them. And for us, it wasn't just about like increasing this order size. Obviously, the goal was to improve AOV. But the UX also, like similar to the TV example we were just talking about, helps clarify sort of the value and really anchors that subscription experience for the customer, you know, from a UX standpoint. Granted, like I said, we all know more units equals more AOV, but for a brand like ours in the vitamin and supplement space, this also meant like stronger product adherence. When customers are buying multiples at once, they're more likely to take their capsules on a daily basis and have stronger LTV going forward. The experience also drove deeper subscription penetration, which basically means we had more customers coming in and subscribing to stay with us for a long time versus buying a one-time purchase and never coming back. So we A/B tested this, like I said, at the top of the year against our just standard subscribe and save experience. And what surprised me most was that it didn't just improve AOV. We also saw a 19% lift in conversion rate. We saw that jump in subscription penetration, like I mentioned, and we saw a 24% increase in revenue per visitor. And so I'll also give a little hat tip to Fermat right now. We tested this at the top of the year. Fermat has since rolled out a very similar experience on their own platform. And so we're currently testing this experience on Fermat versus a standard experience. The test is running so well. The version that has this sort of flexible supply variant version has a 13% higher revenue per order and a 60% higher subscription penetration than the version without it. So it's a lights out win. It's been helping us, you know, like I said, day to day from a top line standpoint because customers are buying more at once. So it's an obvious AOV win. It's helping to anchor our subscription experience as well. So we're getting more customers into that subscription funnel. We're building up our future cohorts. And we're really helping our future selves out, which I think we all want to do as marketers. Obviously, this likely will not work for every industry or every category, but I think if you're in the CPG, vitamin, or supplement space, it's absolutely worth testing. I think the purchase behavior of like buying in multiples when there's clear value like aligns with the type of customer buying these types of products. So that's kind of my spiel. I have 40 seconds left, but hopefully you guys try it. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share more about this awesome test that we've been running.
Now, prior to the delight of Fermat, and Erica was not paid, nor was she be getting a discount on her Fermat and her opinion here. Before Fermat, what did you use? Because this was actually brought up when Phil was talking about the accelerated payment options and testing those on PDPs. Do you know what platform you used to test it on your Shopify site originally?
Yeah. We, on our Shopify site, so we actually just built out a custom, basically UX experience with our engineering partners. We use eHouse. They're great, also not paid, but love them. And we use Shopify and Recharge to support that.
Oh, okay. So was it then like literally just two different PDPs and you were splitting the traffic between those two to measure the effect of
Oh,
that?
sorry, Aaron. Yes, from an A/B testing standpoint, we used our software called IntelliGems.
Okay. And that's going to be, and I wanted to say that out loud too, as well, because Fermat got so much love just then. And I would make a case that it's even easier and more controlled to do it with Fermat.
It's great.
But, you mentioned IntelliGems. Obviously, Jarrell talked about, I think the link was dropped in there for the incremental testing tool, Stella. And so I do want to spread the love around a little bit. Oh, look what I did, spread the love around a little bit. Erica, thank you very, very much. We're going to take Erica down and bring up next Emily Hooker from Gorgeous. Emily, let's make sure that people can hear you. Mic check.
Hello, happy to be here.
Oh, we are delighted to have you. We're going to put those 5 minutes on the clock. Talk to us about experimentation.
Awesome. Yeah, so today I want to share a practical approach that we've seen work really well across many e-commerce brands at Gorgeous, especially those who are using conversational AI on their storefronts. So I want to talk about how these small, thoughtful changes to test the strategy that you actually use for your AI agent can create meaningful improvements in the customer experience. So even when people are using the same tool, a lot of these different brands can see very different results. And that makes sense because every business has its own personality, customer base, and goals. Some customers need education and reassurance before they actually make a decision. Maybe it's a really high price point product or a completely new type of product that they've never bought before. Others might respond better to urgency or a well-timed promotion. And what resonates really well for a premium lifestyle brand with slower buying cycles might not land the same way for a fast-moving CPG company. So there's really no universal best approach, but there is a best fit strategy for your brand. And your AI agent can reflect that if you give it the right inputs. So I think one of the most valuable things that you can do is actually treat your AI agent like it's a new sales rep on your team, somebody that you can coach, iterate with, and who learns over time, not just about your products, but who actually moves your customers forward in their journey. So what can you actually adjust? There are a lot of different things that you can adjust when it comes to conversational AI on your storefront. And our AI agent at Gorgeous is highly customizable, and that opens the door to continuous refinement. Some of the most impactful areas to experiment with are your tone of voice. So this is how your AI agent speaks, and that matters a lot. A luxury skincare brand might benefit from elevated, elegant language, while a Gen Z accessories brand may do better with casual, emoji-rich responses. The second lever is your sales style. So choosing between educational, moderate, or promotional selling modes, this influences how assertively the AI recommends your products or nudges you towards a checkout. Third is your discount strategy. So you can control the amount and how often your discounts are offered. So you might prefer to avoid discounts entirely or only offer them when a customer shows hesitation. Some brands use discounts proactively to drive urgency, while other brands only include seasonal discounts in their strategy. And then the last piece is your guidance. So this is your AI's training material. This is how you give your AI agent the information that it can use during conversations with your customers. They're basically internal playbooks that shape everything from how it pitches bestsellers and how it handles product-specific objections. And these levers give you control not just over how the AI communicates, but also over what kind of shopper experience you're actually creating. So we have some real-world examples. Arc'teryx is our first one. It's a really popular outdoor apparel brand. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. They sell highly technical products, and their shoppers are looking for expertise and clarity when deciding around these really high price point items like jackets or pants or hiking gear. And Arc'teryx found that an educational sales style with product comparison guidance gave them the best results because their customers often have questions about what clothes are best for different activities. And they saw a 75% lift in conversion rate. Caitlin Minimalist, on the other hand, is a jewelry brand, and they leaned into a more assertive strategy. They focused on bundling their products together and pushing sets and accessories, and they found that using a promotional strategy encouraged their shoppers to complete looks with multiple items, and this resulted in an 11.3% increase in their average order value. So same AI agent, but different goals, different audiences, and completely different strategies. So how do we apply this in a structured way? The first step is to define your goal. So what are we actually trying to improve? You might want to guide undecided shoppers with more education, or maybe you want to lift your AOV by encouraging bundling. Long story short, the more clear your goal is, the easier it will be to spot patterns as you are working towards that. So next step, you'll want to look at your current performance. So engagement rate, conversion rate, your CSAT scores, maybe your AOV, and identify where there's room for improvement. You can also review conversations to identify where shoppers are dropping off, and then identify if they're asking the same questions over and over, or maybe they hesitate when price comes up. And this can really help you identify where there's room for improvement and then guide you on the next steps. From there, you'll want to form a small hypothesis around that friction point that you've identified. And this might sound like, if we make the tone more friendly and casual, shoppers may feel more comfortable asking more personal questions about our bidet product, shout out to Tushy, to get the education they actually need to convert. And then from there, all of those levers I mentioned at the beginning, you'll want to pick one thing to change at a time. So whether it's tone, discounting, guidance, or sales strategy, you'll want to do this one at a time to detect what change is actually driving that uplift and then attribute it back to that change that you made. And from there, all you have to do is analyze, learn, and repeat. Did your conversion rate improve? Did you grow your AOV? Are you effectively answering these questions that your shoppers have? And then you just do the whole process over again until you get your perfect recipe. So the thing I'll leave you guys with today is I just really want to emphasize that these small changes, in making these changes with your AI agent can lead to really great results, especially when you treat it like a member of your team. And shameless plug, if you're interested in trying AI agent for yourself, you can request a demo at gorgeous.com/demo.
And I'm going to give a plug too to Tushy, because that is one of the best AI chatbots and also quiz funnel that I have ever experienced. Emily, all right. Great rundown there. We're going to take Emily away, and let's wait a second to see if she actually pops off. She does. And if we bring Talia in, I'm asking because we've had some technical difficulties behind the scenes. But look at that. There's Talia. Nobody knows. I didn't just say that. Talia from Tommy John. You've seen how this rolls. Let's make sure I can hear you. Tell us what you do over there at the illustrious Tommy John.
Hi, happy to be here. I'm Talia. I'm the Senior Director of Performance Marketing at Tommy John.
All right. We're going to see if those 5 minutes kick off. And if they don't, I'm looking at 33 minutes. And so you're going to have till 38. Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So I'm excited to share a project that we've been working on with our amazing partners at Attentive. So as I'm sure many of you have heard, the future of e-commerce is hyper-personalized. In fact, the present of e-commerce is also pretty hyper-personalized. And at Tommy John, that's super important to us. We're definitely known for our product, of course, but also a really incredible customer experience. So we have been working with Attentive on a new tool that they have released called AI Journeys. The purpose is really to refine the customer journey, which it is already fairly personalized in general. Just the nature of like a customer journey or a customer flow is generally based on customer behaviors, of course. But the purpose of the Journeys tool is to kind of take that up a couple of notches and really create like a best-in-class experience for the customer, especially given like the volume of the journey communication can be quite extensive, and we want to make sure that everybody's kind of getting the best experience. So as a fairly large dual gender brand with a ton of SKUs, this has been really critical, I would say, for our success. We've been testing it for about 3 to 4 months now. And in general, I would say like when Attentive came to us, we were a little bit nervous at first because it is, when you look at first glance, it's more expensive because it is a pretty advanced tool. But we have seen pretty amazing results. So I would say the biggest benefits, I would say the first one is really send time optimization. So the AI Journey tool kind of helps dictate, similar to how we do within our campaigns now. We're also using somewhat of a different AI tool with Attentive, which has also been great. But it really helps determine what is the best send time for each individual user based on their site activity and based on the signals within Attentive itself. So that has been really helpful. Product specificity is another big benefit. So within abandonment campaign specifically, because we do have so many SKUs, as I mentioned, kind of speaking to each of the individual products, speaking a little bit differently to a male customer versus a female customer, clearance, a clearance product versus a more premium product. It really helps kind of tailor the messaging based on that customer's behavior and what they're most likely to resonate with. And then promotional messaging. So we do tend to have a fair amount of promos running at any given time, some evergreen, some limited time. But this tool also helps us refine that messaging. If a customer is more likely to resonate with a promo or really needs a promo in order to convert, it will send that to them. Whereas if they're not, necessarily going to need that, we don't always want to send them a promo if they're really much more focused on like the product feature and benefit. And the tool has been really helpful in kind of segmenting out that messaging for us. And all of that is to say, of course, like the two main benefits here are customer engagement. We've definitely seen lifts there, and then revenue optimization. So looking at our results, we have seen, when looking at normalized lift, I'll give, broad results, but in general, we have seen about 120% lift in click-through rates, which has been incredible, and about a 60% lift in revenue and conversion. What I will say is we tend to turn this on and off, which is also has been definitely convincing for us and signing on to this, but is also helpful for us because we don't always feel that it's necessary for running a super big promo that can, lift conversion in and of itself. Or if we have a clearance event, we don't necessarily want to be messaging people over and over again. If they've abandoned something, it might be because, we've run out of a size or a color. But during kind of an evergreen moment, that's really when we turn this on. And it's been really helpful for us to kind of play with the volume. We are able to turn on like 20% of the flow receives this, or 50% of the flow, or 70% of the flow. And that's also been really helpful for us in assessing incrementality. So we started much smaller at about 20%, and we've since kind of upped it to between like 50 to 80%. So we're always kind of running a baseline test. And we can really see that it is providing a lift for us. And we're at the point right now where we're really happy with the results within Journeys, and we're assessing how to kind of bring this within our campaigns as well. So yeah, I guess I'll leave everyone.
The way you then wrapped it up with like that, the testing via percentage of segments that goes into it.
Yeah.
I was like waiting for this can't get to the place of being any better and nailing the whole idea of this, but that's to turn it up, to turn it down, and to measure the impact against. And those are the same segments where you're applying it 20% to this, 25% to this, 50%, based on the segments themselves, not just the list at large, right?
Yeah. It's really based on the flows. So yes, the segments are kind of dynamic because different people are entering the flows at any given time. Okay. And we can kind of dictate the flows that we want to have an AI journey extension on, and kind of go from there. Yeah.
Well, we lost our countdown timer, but I said 38. We're on top of 38. So Talia, there it is. And let's see if I say Talia go away. Does Talia go away? If not, I will make Talia go away, and I can click it. I can. It looks like it's up to me now. Away Talia goes. And next up to the stage, Carrie. Speak of attentive AI, etc. It's almost like somebody planned this. Let's see here. Carrie, I see CMO there below your name. I can also hear you. I'm going to say we're at 38. That puts us at right on top of 43. When I'll jump back in, you ready to take it away?
Let's do it. All right. So I'm excited about our topic today. It was great that Talia set us up for a lot of SMS context, but attentive is also known for email. And we're going to talk a lot today about deliverability. We hear it from our customers all the time. They say, my email channel is dead or it's not performing. But my question is it channel fatigue or is it actually deliverability? And I think that's the question that every D2C marketer should be asking when they see that low engagement on email. Diagnosing the root cause determines the right fix. And ignoring deliverability or chalking it up to fatigue, it can really tank results across your entire life cycle. We talk to thousands of brands and we find that 95% of them are targeting their subscribers incorrectly. They're over-targeting unengaged subscribers who won't generate revenue, while under-targeting their most valuable segments who've opened an email in the past 7 days. There are two things that you can do this week to analyze your email channel. One is check your new subscriber timeline and strategy. At Attentive, we expect some level of engagement, open or click, within the first 3 to 5 email messages from new subscribers. And if there's no activity after 5 messages, it likely indicates that you either captured the incorrect email address or you have a secondary junk email account. However, engagement signals, they can be missed due to lots of technical issues. And so, for instance, Gmail may clip long content preventing tracking pixels from loading, or poor sender reputation can cause Microsoft to block your images. And to handle non-engaged new subscribers safely, you really can implement a passive opt-in campaign after just 5 unopened messages to see if there's no response or confirm the engagement. And if not, then suppress them from future sends. The second thing that we recommend to brands is really test for risks with segmentation strategy. Each mailbox provider deploys completely different filtering algorithms, and it caters to very distinct demographics with varying level of engagement patterns. When you achieve strong open rates, you don't want to let your guard down. Instead, we encourage to gradually test strategic risks by mailbox provider. So 2 gradual risk tests that our deliverability experts recommend are send a bi-weekly to your less engaged segments, and also include the more marginally engaged subscribers in your regular sends. Now, most opens in revenue come from subscribers who've opened within the past 7 days. So many marketers still cater and spend a lot of time re-engaging that audience that's weeks, months, or sometimes even years old. But really, you have to optimize deliverability for the people who are most engaged, and recency always wins. The recency-based segmentation outperforms frequency for maximizing engagement without harming your deliverability. So what are the ideal performance targets to compare your numbers to? At Attentive, our internal for unique open rates are over 40% for campaigns and over 47% for triggered emails. It's also important to monitor for all the disparities that come across between mailbox providers, because it can reveal significant differences that sometimes signal pretty potential reputation issues with specific providers. And you just need to necessitate like reduced retargeting. At Attentive, I think you just heard from Talia, like we've known for SMS, and our deliverability is really a big reason that Attentive got into the email game many years ago. And our SMS deliverability and identity have always been unparalleled. And that foundation has really translated into this incredibly unique and the building of deliverability into our DNA from the beginning. So a great example, I'd love to give a customer example. And one of my favorite customers, which I talk about probably way too often, don't know if that's possible, is Cozy Earth. And over a year ago, they decided to actually migrate their email flows to Attentive and saw immediate impact. They saw deliverability and engagement improvements, achieving a 99% delivery rate and a 59% unique open rate with a 6.5% unique click rate. And their email campaigns now drive 215% more sessions than their previous provider. It just emphasizes the effectiveness of increasing traffic and engagement, which in reality, with deliverability in the email channel, it translates into more revenue, which is what a lot of us here care about. It's a lot in 5 minutes. So if you're interested in doing your own deliverability audit to reignite your email channel, we'll pop the link into the chat. But here's to reigniting our email channels today.
Selfishly, and I mentioned this in the chat, I just happened to run a fairly large newsletter on the side, and I devoured what you were just talking about. And the in the trenches feelings that I have over the last year was like, that was, yeah. Somebody asked if there's gonna be a transcript. You have to make your own transcript, people. There will be a video, but oh my goodness, we're gonna try to get some of these takeaways in the data as well from these folks to put into the replay emails that go out. Carrie, thank you so much. I think some of our back-end technical difficulties are over, so we're going to take Carrie down. Let's see if oh, look at that. Now we're firing on all cylinders. BG, Bryant, come on up. Oh, talk about going back. Oh, my gosh.
What's up, man?
Hanging with this gentleman for years, and this is the first time we've got to do one of these together. I can hear you. We're going to put those 5 minutes on the clock. Let's see if that hits. If not, it's 44 right now. That adds 49 is what I see. Take it away, BG.
Awesome. So what's the one test that changes every single metric? And I'm letting that hang for a second because I really want people to think. So here's another question to ask. Where do all of your customer journeys start? Let me rephrase that another way. Can you sell someone if you haven't gotten their attention? So I'm going to talk today about what you need to test and experiment to actually get people's attention so you can actually sell to them. It doesn't matter what you do on your landing pages, in your website, in your email flows, in your anything, if you never grab the attention of the person to begin with. And if you noticed, I started this with a question. Why did I do that? Well, because questions automatically do a couple of things to our brains. They automatically trigger our safety response to try and solve the problem that is presented. So it hits that very lizard biological brain that's like grabs your attention subconsciously. When you grab their attention subconsciously, you can then transition to conscious interactions and education and stuff like that. So one of the things that I've done over the years, if anybody's followed me, knows that I am really big on video, really big on advertising. I've invested hundreds of millions of dollars of advertising, driven billions of video views on YouTube, stuff like that. And one of the things that we did at Purple, and I'm going to take people back because a lot of people here are probably familiar with Purple, but one of the things that we always did when we started doing things was actually testing the hook that we did. And it's really simple to test a hook. All you have to do is change up the question, and you can pre-plan that. Even if you're just doing video to screen with an iPhone or whatever, all you have to do is grab a couple of different hooks that you test. Easy way to go about figuring out what those hooks are is you can literally put in your product, customer issues, other things like that into an LLM. You can throw it into Triplewell. You can throw it into ChatGPT. You can do whatever and have it to ask a couple of questions to come up with. That's actually what I did here. I put in what I wanted to talk about. I had an LLM spit out a bunch of different questions to start this conversation with. It gave me one, and I was able to run there. So at Purple, we actually tested, one of our biggest tests that we did was the Sasquatch video. So that Sasquatch video, if you guys remember that one, she's sitting there, she's beating a squirrel on the rock, and she asks a question as she comes in. So I'm going to just share 3 of the questions that we asked. We always tested 7 to 8. Okay, so here's 3 of the questions, and I want you to think and figure out which one you think was the winner here. So the first one is, do you know that a stain on your mattress could void your warranty? Okay. Second one is, did you know that the wrong mattress protector can ruin the feel of your mattress? And the third one is, did you know that Bigfoot pee smells like lilacs and freshly picked daisies? So I'm going to pause there for just a second. And if you guys can, throw it in the chat. Which of those do you think actually was the winner of that test? And I'm going to wait 1 second, and then I'm going to tell you. So it is not the P one. And that's the amazing thing. We tested all of this, and this is why you want to test. Crazy, normal, whatever. The winner of that test, and if you go look at the Purple YouTube page right now, it is literally the second most viewed video is that Sasquatch video. The question was, did you know that the wrong mattress protector can ruin the feel of your mattress? That question, right? It was the lilacs. It isn't. Like, that's the amazing part here, right? You don't know what's going to be the winner, but if you don't test those different hooks up front, you could literally be killing creative advertising opportunity that drives people into the brand. That video for a mattress protector actually was our second highest mattress selling video, which is why we were able to put so much money behind it. So we spend most of our time optimizing the things at the end of the funnel. A lot of us spend very little time on the thing that actually needs to start first, which is testing that there. So questions are the answers. There's a million reasons why. Again, leverage AI here. And one thing that I really want to kind of throw out here is you can't sell someone you first haven't stopped. Attention is the gateway drug to conversion, and the hook is your delivery system. And we're done.
Attention is the gateway drug to what?
Conversion.
Attention is the gateway drug to conversion.
And your hook is your delivery system.
God, I had to hear it out loud one more time. Come on, BG. Years in the making, and you did not disappoint. Oh, Mom. And so much for the PP, lilacs, etc. All right. BG's going down. Next up to the stage, Evan from Motion. Also a gentleman who can bring the action and the vibes. Evan, mic check from you. Can the people hear you?
Mic check 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't freestyle because my style ain't free.
Let's go. Did you have that planned? I don't even answer. Hit the clock. Take it away.
Everybody, I'm so excited to be here. Aaron, what up? I'm speaking to our creative strategists today, our head of growths, our performance marketers, everyone who is obsessed with acquisition and doing it efficiently. So what I wanted to talk about specifically is on the creative strategy side of things. I know you all are dabbling with ChatGPT and natural language. What I wanted to talk about is how to become a AI native creative strategist. So what I want to do is actually give like 5 tips, essentially, on how you should structure your prompts to give you the best outputs possible. Now, before I kick off, I will preface it. When I'm talking about creative strategy when it comes to AI, the obvious side is creation. So I'm speaking that can help, and what I'm going through can definitely help that. What I'm also speaking to is the research side, the analysis side, and the briefing side. So open your minds up beyond creation and look at that entire flywheel. All right? Fantastic. Let's do this thing. Y'all, step number 1. What we have to do is set the role and area of expertise. So speaking to my creative strategists, an example that I might use is that you are a top 1% creative strategist with expertise in paid social, especially meta ads, and you're trying to decide what creative to make next. That sets the stage for how the LLM has to act. Step number 2 is you want to list out all of the resources that you're providing the LLM with, and you want to do it in a very detailed way. So what I like to do is bullet it out step by step. So what that means as an example is what I might provide is descriptions for my ads in the last 14 days that I've spent the most money. I might also give context on my brand, who buys from me, what are my personas? And then I might also give like some reviews and different elements that I want to loop in there. So labeling them out and the resources in a really concise way makes it nice and easy. Step number 3, what I'm going to do here is clearly define the ask of what I want to happen. So it's going to be specific to reference step number 1 and 2. And it would, for example, be something like your task is to identify the most common themes across top performing ads and explain why these themes might be resonating with the provided customer personas. Something along those lines that's super specific and leverages the first 2 steps. Step number 4, the second last one here, is that you want to give specific instructions now. So you have the general task defined, and then you want to outline the specific instructions, how to actually do that task. So what that might look like from an example standpoint is I might say, step number 1, review each summary that I provided for you of the top performing ad. Step number 2, you have the reoccurring themes and patterns. Why are those the stylistic choices? And then step number 3, please write me a short explanation on why these patterns are actually resonating with the personas that I've outlined. So now we've brought it from step 1 to 4, and we're getting the LLM to act like that top 1% creative strategist. But here's the final stage, step number 5. Now, this is where it's interesting. I'm sure you're all in the loop with this, but like the example our team talked to me about is like, imagine you're about to eat a piece of pizza. You know what I mean? You eat that piece of pizza, and then someone asks you, hey, did that taste good? And you kind of go, I don't know. Let me take another bite. And then you start to pay more attention to it. You're like, all right, a little garlic in there, a little rosemary, some chili oil, like I'm good, right? So with step number 5, when it comes to the LLM, what I always recommend that you do is now is when you give the final data set and instruction after the fact. So an example of what that means is that you're literally just saying, hey, from step 1 to 4 that I provided, please, now what you want to do is, hey, hold on, take another bite. And does this data actually help inform what to do next? So I think there's, I've gone through that super fast and in a lot of detail with my time in mind. When I think of the 5 steps of how you can start to upgrade your prompts to be able to output the best creative possible, that's where my mind goes. So Aaron, that's what I got for you today, man.
Tell us step 5 again. And the reason I'm asking for step 5 is I have no idea who Carson Livingston is, but homie in here just like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Tell me step 5 again, because that's the only one Carson didn't drop. What's step 5?
Yeah, I know. I'm still trying to like pull from memory on this one. I don't have it written out as much, but what you're doing is you're telling the LLM to go back and say, check all step 1 to 4, and then confirm with the final data set that I provided. that it's actually accurate. So that's where you might provide like the real answers for what the top performing ads were for the last 14 days, something along those lines, essentially.
And that's that illustration of take a bite of the pizza, then someone asks you how's it taste, and you go back for more to start paying attention. You're doing the exact same thing to the LLM. Now, the other thing that I absolutely love that you did is you had a please, please, please in there. And listen, I love anybody that actually is nice to the bot overlords that will one day rule the world. So
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is going to go out to internet. The bots know that I am on their side, just like Evan Lee. Evan, dude, thank you so much. We're going to take Evan down and bring in next Pooja from Alex and Annie. Are you here with us? Oh, fabulous. Okay. I see. Director of Site Merchandising. Is that correct? Answer with a mic check for me, please.
Yes, it is.
All right. Off to the races we go. 5 minutes. Have at it.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm so excited to be here at Alex and Ani. We are a jewelry brand rooted in self-expression and symbolism. And like many of you, we are always looking for ways to deepen customer loyalty while making our e-commerce experience more engaging. But also, like many of you, we're constantly asked to do it creatively with less. Limited budgets, aggressive goals, and the need to drive revenue without huge new investments. So the question that's always running through my mind is there a way to make better use of the content that we already have? Our challenge was that we had a growing library of user-generated content, over 250 high-quality videos from brand ambassadors and micro-influencers, but hitting a roadblock on a scalable way to use it effectively. Our product pages were feeling static, and placing content next to the product images wasn't giving it the visibility it deserved. Instead, it felt cluttered and the layout overwhelmed the experience. We needed to make better use of the content we already had, and we needed to measure ROI fast. So after learning about Hugh's shoppable video platform and meeting with the team, our tactic was a no-brainer. Let's partner with Hugh. Hugh allowed us to move fast. We went live in just 2 weeks, which meant we were able to launch ahead of Mother's Day, one of the biggest holiday promotions for jewelry in the year. We were also able to quickly activate our existing UGC across more than 500 PDPs, bringing fresh, authentic content to the forefront of the shopping experience. Hugh also gave us the ability to organize strategically and categorize videos into buckets like close-up, detail, and review, ensuring every piece of content that we had was being used to its full potential. We're able to drive conversion by embedding shoppable CTAs directly into videos, turning views into purchases. And not only that, Hugh allowed us to also recommend other products that were being styled in that same video. So while all of that was happening, we didn't want to lose sight on measuring impact. And luckily, their analytics platform showed us exactly what videos and how many per page drove the most conversion. So you're probably wondering, how well did we do? So let's talk results. We ran a 2-week split test using Intelligems, and 90% of traffic was seeing Hugh, while the other 10% was not. The ROI spoke for itself. We saw an 11% increase in revenue per visitor, a 9.3% lift in conversion rate, and engagement rates as high as 9%. Hugh's analytics revealed that customers convert best when they see 3 to 5 videos per product page. So especially close-up, detailed shots, and live product reviews. Product reviews, though, drove the most engagement. It offered personal, relatable feedback that helps shoppers picture the item in their own lives. So building on those insights, we expanded our collab with Hugh, leveraging their creator community to source an additional 60 product review videos and evolve our UGC approach. We now knew exactly how many videos to source and which pages needed extra love to get to that optimal 3 to 5 number, which was a huge unlock for our team as well. After implementing the new content, conversion skyrocketed. But the biggest takeaway for me is that our data-driven approach gave us a clear focus on what to create and invest in next, saving us the words everyone wants to hear, time, and money. So in prep for the holiday season, we're expanding our partnership with Hue with an upcoming Halloween campaign. So tapping into their creator community to source hundreds of new UGC videos while also leveraging our in-house team to produce fresh new content. So I know about 20 seconds left. So to wrap this up, if you're being asked to stretch every marketing dollar, my advice is to leverage the content you already have and partner with someone like Hugh to do it smarter. The path to higher RPB doesn't always require new content. So a big thank you to the team at Hugh, and thanks, Erin, for having me.
Oh, and just the very fact that you're able to put a number on, we need 3 to 5 for the best engagement. These are the types, and then have an actual creative benchmark of what we need to go build is like wildly illuminating. That in and of itself, like, lit me up. Oh, thank you. And actually keeping the train going. So we're going to take him down and then bring up John V to the stage. Also from Hugh. Look at that. 1, 2, right in a row. Let's go. Can the people hear you?
Awesome. Thanks, Erin, and thanks, Pooja, so much for being here as well. I'm going to also apologize in advance. There is the Blue Angels flying in Seattle today, apparently. So if you hear any plane noise, just don't worry about that. But yeah, I can kick it off. Cool. Awesome. So the one tactic I want to talk about today is actually building on what Pooja mentioned, which is how to unlock ROI from the UGC that you already have, especially on bundle pages, which I know we have been talking about already today. So I work super closely with all of our brand partners on optimizing UGC on site. And these days, everybody is talking about how can I do more with less? So the question I want to ask you is, what if your highest performing content is content that you already have, but it's not in the right place? So I want to tell you about a single experiment that we ran with Kate Somerville Skincare that really speaks to this. We took a deep dive on the top traffic page on their site, and we found one glaring place where they were lacking content, which is their bundle pages. They have some really awesome sets like the Breakout Dream Team, which I love. It's an acne cleanser and a serum set. And I think we're going to drop a link in the chat so you can check out this exact page. And what we did is we repurposed the top UGC videos of the individual products in the set, and we placed them into kind of a remix shoppable video module on the bundle page. So they already had videos for the individual products, put it on the bundle page. And the results just blew us away. Through a 50-50 split test, we saw a 534% lift in conversion rate, which you heard me right, 534%. I don't think I've seen those numbers ever before through an A/B test. And the best part about it was that it took very little net new effort or spend, just using what was already working and using it more strategically. So I want to talk about why this worked so well. We all know that offering bundles is one of the most popular tactics for increasing AOV, especially with the gifting season and Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up. You're probably planning kits, sets, and bundles, all optimized for value. But what you're missing is that bundle pages are actually often conversion dead zones. And why is that? It's because they lack the trust signals that you've worked hard to build on the PDPs. They often don't have reviews, they don't have star ratings, and they don't have UGC. So what you're doing is you're driving traffic to those bundle pages and shoppers are super interested, but they don't have the social proof to push them to buy. So what we did, and at Hue, this is what we do all day, is that we help brands turn UGC into a conversion driver. And so we learned that where you place the UGC really matters just as much as the content itself. And with the analytics data from our platform, we were able to identify those best performing UGC videos by watch time, engagement rate, conversion rate from those individual product pages, and we dropped them into the bundle experience. So you can see it now. I know the link is in the chat. There's authentic before and after results, demos from real customers, using those individual items from the kit. And because shoppers already associate bundles with value, as soon as they see that proof, that's it. Like they're ready to convert, they're ready to buy. And that's why we saw such a massive lift. And so now we've been taking that same approach and taking it to more pages on the site. So for example, the homepage, we ran a similar test with Kate Somerville. We dynamically surfaced UGC from their bestseller products, and we saw a 54% lift in revenue per returning visitor. So another great win there. And now we're rolled out on their top bundle pages. We're starting to plan for the holiday season. We're actually helping them through our creator community to source some dedicated content for their limited edition sets. So think like unboxing video of these like great holiday sets. And we're going to launch those before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And I expect to see some really awesome results. So takeaways, there's 3 reasons why this tactic works so well. First of all, customers want value. Bundles work great for value. Secondly, they're often missing social proof. So bring your UGC into those bundle pages to really drive that conversion rate. And number 3 is this is just a way to get quick ROI, which is what I know everybody is looking for these days. Even if you're not using a tool like Hue, you can obviously test this out manually by grabbing those top performing UGC and putting it on. But of course, we can help you do that as well if you're interested. You can find us at poweredbyhue.com. So takeaway, reuse the content you already paid for, amplify the effectiveness of bundles and kits, and drive your performance. And yeah, if you're interested in learning more about Hue, please do reach out.
And I would just sprinkle a little bit on top of that with, especially because I see this over and over again, if you're going to do a big bundle for, or even tiered bundles coming up for the holidays, which is obviously one of the best tactics to do to buy more, save more, kind of, get those high ticket items. I love the fact that you took it from a conversion dead zone to seeing that massive lift at the top, which just shows you what you can do with that and then refine further from there where those conversion rate gains got a little more reasonable. So I believe you on both fronts. Really solid. Thank you so much. All right, John V going down. Up next is Jesse from Title IX. I visited my first Title IX store in Bend, Oregon over the summer as well, just about a month ago. Very excited to hear from you, sir. Tell us what you do as a mic check and go ahead and hit that 5 minutes, Willow.
Hey, can you hear me okay? Great. Thanks, Aaron. Happy to be here. Hey, everyone. I'm Jesse from Title IX. I'm the Director of E-commerce. For those of you that don't know Title IX, we're most famous for our sports bras and our swimwear. Also famous for our catalog that still shows up in your mailbox like it's 1997. But we're a women-owned and outdoor athletic apparel brand based in the Bay Area. We've been around for about 35 plus years, really before Girl Boss was a hashtag or even, women's empowerment was a marketing tactic. So today I'm going to share a little bit about how we've turned our PDP not only into a powerhouse for selling our product, but also how we use it as a source for brand storytelling. Because let's face it, at this point, Google Shopping and dynamic ads is really our new category page, which makes our PDPs our new homepage and the gateway to our brand. So here's what we've been working on and here's what we've learned. First thing is branding with a backbone, right? Not only what she's buying or what we're selling, but really who from. So we're not a conglomerate. We're not a Lululemon. We're not an Athleta, right? We're not one of those new TikTok DTCs selling snatched leggings. We're a proudly independent, woman-owned and run company, been around for about 35 plus years, and sell great product that's specifically designed and curated for her. So we really badge ourselves and our products as women-owned, so she knows it right off the bat. We call out our team of designers who create and wear test the product because it matters to her what she spends her money on and who she's deciding to support, especially nowadays. So we want her to value and know this brand is for me. It aligns with my values, and it's also, great product. The next thing is we show real urgency, right? Not necessarily retail theater. So we use subtle cues rooted in real data, like selling fast when product velocity spikes, or only a few left when specific sizes or colors are nearly sold out. Limited time on short run markdowns, right? This is informative text and labeling that's both helpful and motivating. And more importantly, it really lets the product performance create the pressure, not necessarily the marketing. So these are super simple to implement and have boosted our ad to bag and conversion, especially for mobile shoppers coming from paid media. Next is social proof that's actually useful. So we've always had reviews, but text alone doesn't really cut it these days, right? Especially in apparel. Unfortunately, our customer doesn't really submit a lot of images or video, right? We do get a lot of written reviews, but it wasn't really giving a full story, especially for apparel. So we teamed up with a partner like Hue, who just spoke, for these real talk video testimonials right on the PDP. So we don't want to use influencers, not polished studio shoots, just everyday women really sharing how our bestsellers feel and fit and what are the coolest features about them. So this is quite new to us. We're learning quite a bit. The first thing that we learned is that the most helpful videos weren't always the 5-star reviews. They would often skip those and go to the videos with less than 5 stars. They seemed more honest and balanced, build trust, and offer her new and different information than what she was getting from the rest of the page. The second thing we learned was that the most engaging ones were the ones that came from women who looked like our customers, not necessarily our models. She liked and wanted to see different body sizes, different shapes, and hear and see from them how they wore the product. The next thing we learned is that we also originally asked the reviewers to create the content in a more brand forward way. So an outdoorsy setting, showing us the use cases. And really what we noticed that was resonating with her was videos that she would just shoot in front of her closet, showing the fit and the features and how it fit for her body. The next thing we noticed was that the other interesting thing, we saw a bigger lift from mobile shoppers. So where this really extra context closed the confidence gap and gave her the information that she needed from a brand that she may have not known before. The fifth thing that we noticed was that having these video testimonials really sparked a flywheel. Once women saw them, we started getting more reviews for these products. And not only that, we started getting more reviews with UGC. So they started submitting more images, more videos, which kind of led to this great relationship that we have with our community. So now we're using these insights to better brief and recruit UGC participants, focusing future content on what really drives conversion, which is real women content creators, not necessarily by the influencers, and focusing on fit, fabric, and features, along with size diversity and truly authentic reviews. And then the last thing is that we're kind of seeing how we leverage all this generated content to see how we can use it for building authentic and context that both shoppers and AI can find both meaningful and compelling. So that's a new project that we're working on, and we're seeing, we're really excited about where it goes.
For AI and SEO, talk about whetting my appetite for another round with Jesse. My goodness. And let me say this out loud because I yelled it into the chat and hopefully people saw it. The way you just articulated all that in a narrative form about her and come on, just the heartbeat of what your customer, get into Jesse's mind or get into your customer's mind the way Jesse gets into theirs. Oh, good, sir. Thank you so much. Big fan. Jesse's got to go away. And we're going to bring up Chris from another one of my favorite brands, Simple Modern. Chris, I see CMO down there below your title, and I think I can hear you already. 5 minutes on the clock. You ready to hit it?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
My name is Chris. I'm the CMO at Simple Modern, as Aaron just said. I'm currently wearing an OU shirt because today's the last day for interns here at Simple Modern, and so we're supposed to wear our college stuff. So that's what's going on here. Excited to be here. Loved what Jesse had to say. That was fantastic about authenticity. Great stuff. So I'd love to talk a little bit about testing AOV, CRO, profit. I know that our CEO, Mike, also wrote about these ideas in the operator's newsletter. In case anybody, if any of this sounds familiar, you may have heard it there. But basically, we're an on-the-go family brand with drinkware as our primary category. We have been on Amazon. We're in mass retail, and then D2C is also a part of our business, but a little bit smaller. And so it has taken us some time to figure out, okay, in a world of EDLP, EDLC in mass retailers, how do we make D2C work? And so when we started out early in our career, we tried to get people, we would try to get people to come to the website for a free accessory. All you had to do was pay $5.99 for shipping to get a free lid, a free boot, something like that. We didn't get a lot of people to take us up on that. AOV on the website at that time was in the $22 range. We're making no money. So it's like, all right, this is not the answer to how do we grow a D2C business on top of this omni-channel. Then we tried orders over $10, get free shipping. AOV goes up. But we're still not there. We couldn't make money. We weren't profitable at $10. And so then we keep testing. So we test orders over $30, over $50, then $75. And as you can imagine, AOV is going up, contribution percentage is going up, but sales are going down. People are not converting. So as free shipping thresholds go up, conversion rates go down. So then it's like, okay, we're getting the sorts of orders we want, but we're just not getting nearly enough of them. So then we start to go back down, and we went back down to $25. AOV and margin, go down, but volume goes up. And so that worked for a while, but still it was like, we're still not there. So now we are currently living in a world where free shipping thresholds are at $50. And we've been able to get our prices up. So AOV has gone up as well, and our profitability has been able to go up some. So we've really had to test our way into what are the right sorts of offers to get the right balance of people converting, getting the AOVs we need, and the profitability that we need. So right now, we similar to this, we're also over the last few years have tested. And sorry, Aaron, if this is like multiple tests, but we've also tested what are our pricing tiers for back to school. Where do we want to give discounts? Is it at $50, $70? And so we've been able to look at where are most of the breaks in the orders, and then try to put the deals just slightly past that to encourage extra purchases to get that AOV up. And another challenge for us is that with our model and selling in places like Target and Walmart and Amazon, that leaves us very little money for marketing dollars. So we're trying to find how do we get some margin into the product so that we can then talk about the product, talk about the brand, and grow sales. And it's not just like we're on the shelf. We hope you find us. So it's been a challenge. It's been a good challenge, but there have been things we've had to learn along the way to make D2C work in an omni-channel world for us.
Here's what I love about you freaking simple modern people, and I dropped the comment in already if you missed it. Some of the best people I know is the level of openness and transparency that you bring to something like this, of like the long view of testing is not run it, let's see where the threshold should be, ship it forever, ship it always.
Yeah.
And that constant tension and balancing, especially inside of what is a truly omni-channel business pushing its way into D2C and e-com for that owned audience. I'm not exactly sure what the upside is for you, but man, that was just like such a taste of like the grown-up view on what this has to become over time, right? Because this was like multi-year process you just talked about.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
Oh, yeah. Bring them back down to reality. I so appreciate that. Chris,
thank you.
Simple Modern, go check out. They're about to drop. I'm sure they've got back to school going right now. And then they do some of the best holiday collections I've ever seen. Thoroughly biased, but Chris, get out of here. We're going to bring up, I believe, Santiago from Mottenbau. Where are you, good sir? And if I don't see, yes.
Hey, what's up?
All right, Santiago, I'm going to hand it right over to you. Let's get cooking.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Everything's been great so far. I am here to share a bit of on the like tariff world and views, etc., because I think a bunch of us are facing tariff pressures, and one of the most obvious things to do, of course, is price. So we've been doing a ton of price testing on some of our hero SKUs, and the most recent results we got were actually super interesting because the first glance was very different than what we actually saw and found when we assessed them properly within the context of the entire business, not just as the test itself. So I'm going to just share a bit more of that. I know intelligence has been super popular recently, and it helps with a ton. We use it for all of our testing on site. And so we were running this test of one of our hero SKUs, and we had the hypothesis that we could give a re-energize to one of our categories with, you know, either a higher price so we could offset some of the tariff pressures, but at the same time, we have a margin profile that could potentially sustain a lower price to increase our conversion rate and actually move more volume. So we were super interested to see the results because we had potential upside on both sides. So we ran the test for 2 or 3 weeks, I think so. And then what actually ended up happening is that we saw a massive lift in conversion rate, of course, with our lower price point as expected, and our AOV dropped slightly, 5%, something like that, that in theory shouldn't be as hurtful as we had anticipated. So when I was working on this with our CRO lead, and like we were actually trying to decide, okay, is this something that we just go straight up and change the price, and then we should theoretically be able to leverage this conversion rate increase, because it was like a 60 or 65% increase in conversion rate. We should be able to leverage this and actually move more volume and help us with, getting more people through the door on first order. So we were almost there, but we took a sec. We just, we gathered an afternoon and we were just like, okay, let's think about the entire system and look at more than one thing. Because something that didn't match for me is that even though the performance on the intelligence test was incredible, we were actually seeing very tough performance on Meta. So if we were actually having significantly better conversion rate, then why were we not feeling that on our Meta campaigns? They were actually tanking, like not just neutral, they were actually going down. So we just sat down and we started looking at everything that could be potentially impacted. We're a clothing brand. We sell the highest quality essentials, I say, that you can find. But basically, it's like, okay, how is this impacting the entire purchasing journey? And what was super interesting when we looked at the entire thing was that even though conversion rates seemed to be going up and profit per visitor was better, and actually revenue per visitor was better, the reality is that because we had adjusted the price of one of our main products, the orders that included our jeans as well as our t-shirts decreased by a compounding amount, because typically people get a ton of t-shirts with their jeans. So instead of having an actual drop of just the price we had anticipated for some of our t-shirts, the reality is that we had a much significant drop on our entire volume of women purchasing. And it was actually very detrimental because we had to lower our CPA target by 20%, which nowadays with Meta is it's a nightmare. So we actually ended up not doing any price adjustments, because in the end, we had a better outcome with our current setup, even with some of the challenges that we have, than trying to revert everything and having an actually lower price that, in theory and according to the numbers, had a much better result. So what I really want to share with everyone here as leaders, as decision makers, is I invite you to always be skeptical of the data, embrace the productive paranoia, trust your gut on what you know about the business as well. You've been, I don't know, a couple of us have been for multiple years where we're at, and you really need to trust the business. And if there's something that doesn't feel right, even if the data says that it should be working, don't follow it blindly. Take your time, reassess, make sure you're seeing the first and second order effects, and then hopefully you'll be able to make a better decision. So that's what I had to share today. Thank you.
What was the phrase you used connected to paranoia? You said embrace the something paranoia.
Embrace the productive paranoia.
Productive paranoia. That's a hitter. If you don't see that go out and me start claiming it as my own on social media, I will have failed us both. Santiago, phenomenal. Again, just as grown up into looking at those third order effects, the knock-on effects, and looking for that red herring. The way you talked about what happened in the Meta account was your clue. Oh boy, that is really what testing experimentation is about. All right. Santiago's going down. Thomas coming in next from Living Good Daily. Thomas, Director of Retention, 5 minutes. Let's go.
Hello, Aaron. Thank you so much for having me. So many smart people, amazing sessions. Let's go. Today, I'm going to talk about retention, customer retention, not acquisition, not creative. It's not so sexy, but everybody started talking about it now that the tariffs, start increasing, CAC inflation, margin shrinking. So everybody starts thinking, how can we get more out of the customers? How can we retain them? How can we sell them more, etc., provide more value? So the experiment that I conducted was a long-term one, because retention is not like acquisition. You don't run an experiment, throw some money, and then eventually get the data the next day. You have to wait for months to see if people, because of what you tested now, if people stay for longer and they keep buying, for the upcoming months. So usually working for a brand for multiple months or years is, of benefit here, because you can get the results. So what I did is I over communicate with my brands. You know, a lot of brands, they go silent after they get the customer, and they don't communicate as if they didn't work hard enough to acquire them. But for me, with my clients, we send a lot of value, we communicate, we explain, we onboard, etc. So a very crucial email that we sent was 8 days or 7 days after the delivery of the product. So very specific, the trigger is the delivery of the product. And I sent a founder first email, text-based email, with a very simple request. You know, hey, we want to see how you're doing. You know, we want to see if the product is working for you. Just tell us, you know, how to personalize your journey, and people would click and go to a survey. So very simple email, friendly from the customer. And usually what I would include is different questions and try to see if there is any correlation between these questions and customer retention, you know, in the long term. So the first question would be, how would you rate, you know, XYZ, mainly focusing on customer objections. You know, if somebody had an objection, like most people had an objection about taste, I would ask them, how would you rate the taste of the product? If some people had other objections, you know, on top of mine, nothing comes up right now, I would ask them basically to see if this objection is present for this customer and how this affects retention. I would also ask them about customer service, because I found out that customers that have a customer service query in the first 14 days that is negative or unresolved lead to lower retention overall. And then I would ask them, you know, questions about a potential cross-sell. Like if somebody purchased a focus boosting product, I would ask them, how well have you been sleeping lately? So if I have a sleep boosting supplement, I would ask them about the problem, another problem, to see if we can cross-sell down the line. So these were very important questions, but the most important one was, I'm going to say, you know, what the exact question is, because you can copy this. Do you feel a positive impact on your well-being so far? Again, have you felt a positive impact on your well-being so far? So the question is broad enough. Well-being, you know, can include even just the mood, you know, being better because they feel they do the right thing, even if the product hasn't delivered even the benefits that, you know, they promise in the ads. But overall, it's quite broad. It's broad enough. But what I found is that by month 5, people that say, yes, I feel a positive impact within the first week of trying the product, their retention is double than the rest of the cohort. So imagine if, you know, you ask this question, people say yes, if they say no, their retention will be, let's say, 30%. If they say yes, their retention will be 60%. This is huge, because that translates into far superior LTV, and they're basically your loyalists. So after this, I made it a mission of mine to basically affect the perception and the onboarding and the education of people, so they feel the positive impact as early as possible. So this is the experiment I tested with the biggest impact. And then a quick one, another one, a failed one, seemingly failed one that eventually turned positive, is I had the hypothesis that if somebody's predicted to churn within the first 30 days based on different data, I thought if they don't open the email, if they don't engage with this and that, I'm going to send them a postcard with a freebie that they can claim with a single scan. And basically, if they add the freebie to the next order, they have to stick around to receive it, right? Thus, you know, saving the churn. But what actually happened is that a lot of people were saved because of this, and a lot of people were reminded they were in a subscription and they churned, you know, so this whole thing evened out. So the experiment initially was like, we've lost $5,000, you know, but then 7 months down the line, it broke even. And then 10 months down the line, there was 3x ROI. So overall, retention takes time. That's all I have to say about this.
Come on. I mean, there's so many nuggets in here, but the specificity of that and the idea of using the questions, it almost reminded me of when Evan was talking about that step 5 in the LLM process earlier, if you caught that, where he's like, when you're asking somebody, how does the pizza taste? And they have to take another bite to then assess it and start paying attention. Oh, and what BG was saying about questions is hooks. Okay, there's going to be a whole through line in all of this. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. We have 2 more speakers to get to. Take Thomas down. Bring up Sean next from Lucky Orange. Sean, you are in the seat, 1 up behind you. Let's get going.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Somebody mentioned earlier that they have blue angels flying by their office. Well, I work under a chiropractor. So if you hear a thump, it's somebody's back being adjusted. So there's that. I want to talk about the moment in time when we go to see if an experiment did what we thought it was going to do. Did an experiment do anything? So I'm talking about analyzing results and what happens when we step into that room and say, I've got the data, a coworker, a teammate raises their hand and say, I'm not so sure. Have you thought about this angle? And we just end up with this analytical fog. So I want to bring out some receipts that I think we can bring to the table and a fallback plan for when those receipts don't even agree with each other. So the first thing, and I imagine everybody who's running experiments has some sort of quantitative scorecard that they're bringing. What we're trying to do is prove that there's movement in the metric that matters, while also ruling out some false positives. So, we'll slice our testing cohort traffic. We'll use our campaign parameters. One thing I'm seeing is a lot of people using the audience tag, the AUD equals tag on meta ads to say it's new, engaged, or customers. Really helps kind of clarify some blended data there. We'll also need to pull out, obviously, our target KPI, the guardrail metrics. So if we're measuring revenue per session or conversion rate, maybe our guardrails or average order value, we want to make sure that we're not negatively impacting that. So if our metrics and our quant scorecard shows some sort of conclusive evidence, great, make a strong directional decision. But if not, if there's still some fog here, we need more evidence. And I think that that's where the behavioral analytics side comes in. And that's where the second receipt comes in. We're trying to look for visual proof that our variant changed the user flow. And we're not just seeing some random luck, some outlier metrics. So that's where heat map and session recording comes in. On a heat map, we're looking for the delta. We're looking for the historical view of the page versus the experiment view. Did engagement shift throughout the page, the clicks, the scrolls, the moves? And then within session recordings, a lot of times people say it's hard to find value in session recordings. My advice is that we're looking for 10 or 15 from each quartile of session duration on the page. That helps prevent us from just watching these highly engaged people who are probably going to be there anyway, or people who are more likely to bounce. If we can pull from each of those quartiles, we get a lot more visual evidence and visual proof to bring into these meetings. Now, the third receipt that we can bring is more of an ongoing effort, and that's just surveying. So we want the shopper's words. A quick to intercept survey can add color. What we're aiming for here really is, 20 valid responses per variant per week. Not so much that we're lagging and we're slowing down analysis just for this, but enough for some directional signal. And I do think that surveying done well can help provide some really monumental direction for future testing sprints. But what if those three receipts are still just kind of like, yeah, we think we know what's happening, but we're not positive? Well, I think there's some fallback approaches that we can make as a standard on our team to help provide direction there. So even with those receipts, 15, 20% of these tests are going to be inconclusive anyway. So maybe we take the approach and say, okay, a neutral test, we revert. The KPI wiggles a little bit, but doesn't break outside of like our minimum effect goal. Or the behavioral analysis evidence is mixed. We restore the baseline within 24 hours and we just treat it as learning. That could be your approach. Another approach might be, okay, if we find neutral, we either iterate or we escalate. If one of the signals within these receipts is pointing to a specific blocker, surveys are saying people are confused with the pricing block, or sessions show people engage with this thing that we're testing and then immediately bounce. Well, if there's one signal, maybe we run like a micro iteration and just continue testing in that direction. Or we might escalate. Maybe we didn't take a big enough swing. So if it's inconclusive, but we still think the root of the idea is good, we just push further. I think the last thing we could do is to run kind of like a cost of being wrong check. So if the variant is cheaper, it has lighter code, the creative demands are lighter to maintain it, or for some reason it's safer, it has an accessibility gain, maybe we just ship that. If it adds risk, we kill it. So I think that like every website test does face this prove it moment. But if you can walk into those readouts with the scorecard, with your behavioral evidence, and then some shopper's own words to support everything, plus this like disciplined and focused and consistent fallback plan, the evidence kind of becomes less foggy no matter what. And that can help push us forward faster. It still protects margin. It's still rooted in data, and it helps to replace those opinion wars with hopefully some more confident calls.
Opinion wars with confident calls, and this idea of when the receipts don't come in or the receipts bring disinformation or conflicting information, the way that you walk through those different layers to then bring additional receipts that are still qualitative, then into quantitative, back into qualitative, wildly helpful as somebody who has sat behind and watched a lot of tests just basically never reach statistical significance or be conclusive. So huge up on all that and the way you break it down scientifically, even when it's not, that core metric that you mentioned. All right, we're going to take Sean down and bring up to the stage, last but not least, and I mean that with all my heart, Chase, one of the very few humans on this planet that I would trust to land a plane that I am riding on, and I'm riding with you.
I was
Yes,
wondering why I got put here, man.
bring
It's
us
land the
down.
plane. That's good.
Let's hit it. 5 minutes. Have at it.
Aaron, thanks for being here. Everyone, I hope I can share some value with you guys. I'm Chase, as you can see, CEO of a company called Creative OS. Before this, I was CMO of another company called Heatmap. And so kind of the information I'm going to share with you is predicated on the learnings from both of those. So where there is a lot of value that no one spends any of their time. So you spend all of your time on your ad creative and optimizing that. You spend all of your time on optimizing your landing page. Ad creative, 50% of all conversion lift. LP, 30% of all conversion lift. There's 20% left. And that is the match between your traffic source, i.e. your ads, emails, or your SMS, and that landing page. We call it funnel congruence internally. No one is actually spending a lot of time managing all of that. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to talk through what that actually looks like in real time, and what you can do very simply to do this. Why you need to focus here is you are spending all of your money between these two things. And there are there are 5 different regions that I really want you to spend time on, but more, I want to give you a little bit of data on this to start. So on your website, let's forget about your ads for a second. On your website, that post-click experience where people are talking about, where the man from Lucky Orange was talking about, you have 50 milliseconds before someone decides if they're going to bounce or not. 70% of that traffic does bounce under 3 seconds. 80% of that traffic is coming from paid media. 50% of the brands that are interacting with paid media are using unique landing pages. But site-wide CVR is only 3% blended across everything. It is, and depending on your AOV, that can be catastrophic for your business. And 75% of all traffic doesn't scroll lower than 30% of your page. This is a crazy one. And so you have 30% of your page and less than 3 seconds to get people to agree with you. Now, you've done a lot of the hard work on the ad. You've done a lot of hard work on the landing page. But to Aaron's point about landing the plane, how do you actually land the plane to get them to engage with your page, whether it's more than 30% or they feel comfortable enough to hit that add to cart so that they can save you for later as they're building their bundle with your brand. And so there are hundreds of examples of this, but what I would ask everyone to do right after this is go look at your top 3 ads or your top 3 emails, and then pull up the landing page that is interacting with those and see if they have these 5 things going for them. And so I'm going to read these out to you specifically. Do they have message match? So does the ad and the LP have a message match in the above the fold? Is there visual continuity? Is that image somehow similar? Like, is the same product that's in your ad or your email the first thing that they see when they land on the page? Again, people very quickly lose trust with a brand. CTA alignment. Is the CTA that you have shared with people the same one that you have on that page? Is there cognitive clarity? Like, is all of the information legible and easy to read? And I would use cognitive clarity also with your offer, right? You want the offer to be there. So if you have 30% off in your ad, that needs to be very clear in your above the fold. And then there's kind of this emotional consistency that we talk about, which is if you're trying to hit someone with something that's funny, you need your LP or your landing experience to also be funny. If it's more serious, it needs to also be serious. But if you have funny and then serious, automatically I'm like, well, I don't know if I trust these people. They don't know. I came for the funny. I didn't come for the serious. And so how I would do this, and anyone who wants me to send this like little prompt to them, just DM me on LinkedIn or Twitter after this. But essentially, shout out, you can do this in Creative OS. We have a tool, but if you don't want to pay or don't want to do a trial, like I'll send it to you anyway. You can take ChatGPT into a lightweight version of this, which is go and say message match, visual continuity, CTA alignment, cognitive clarity, emotional consistency. Score these out of 1 to 10 with this ad and this email, and make sure that I'm giving my customer the best experience, and it will give you a score on these, and you'll be able to make changes. Now, the simplest form of doing this today, if you say, Chase, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go into ChatGPT, go look at the ad, go look at your landing page. If you're on Shopify, duplicate said landing page and just change the copy that is in your ad to the landing page. Like, it is the simplest possible thing you can do. If you want to get crazier, align the offer. If you want to get even crazier, match the image. But you don't have to do all that much to make a meaningful difference. Yes, you should use intelligence. You should use all these amazing tools. But if you say, Chase, I don't have the time or the resourcing to do this, which I think about a lot because of the customer base that we serve, a predominant portion of them don't have that. You can do this really, really simply today and find funnel congruence. And when you hit that, when you hit those numbers, you can call me, thank me, and name your next kid after me.
Dude, listen. All right, check it out. So we're already like 10 minutes over. We've still got freaking almost 200 people hanging out with us here, which is bananas to me. So I'm just going to make them indulge for a moment here of, first of all, those 5. Like, I literally, this was not copy and paste, people. As Chase walked through those of message match, visual continuity, especially the product, CTA alignment, cognitive clarity, especially the offer, and 5, emotional consistency. I forced myself to write those out as he said them out loud so that I stand a chance of remembering that. I think the other better standing a chance of remembering that is, yeah, dude, drop your LinkedIn. Yeah. This guy is one of the nicest humans. He will hook you up with everything he just said to make sure you get the value out of this. Regardless of whether or not you're with Creative OS, right? So all that's good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we just want people to convert. You know, if they convert with us, that's great. But if they're converting on their own, that's even better. So do your thing.
And here's what I want to actually do is, so there's a great HBO documentary on comedians. And this is like, listen, there's 172 now here with us. Beautiful. I don't know. We'll cut this out of the YouTube recording. It's just you and me now chatting. People are getting some extras now, Chase. This is the danger you get when you show up.
This is why he put me last, guys. We said we're going to do a little talk show at the end.
Amazing documentary from like it was like Chris Rock and Ricky Gervais is in it. It's from like, I don't know, it's about 15, maybe it's 10 years old now. And one of them was talking about how they do the best show is they have their closer, like, you know, what they build to, which is like, you know, we just had our closer build to Chase. And then you have to open the next show with the closer to then raise the bar on everything else. And I'm saying it right now.
Oh,
next.
Sign me up. Anything you want to do, I'm here for you, man.
And then we'll throw some Easter eggs out there for the true folks that stuck with us throughout this, because that, my goodness, I'm going to copy and paste this whole thing before I jump out. But wow, dear watcher Chase, I'm going to take everybody else away. We can wave. Let's go like that. And I will simply say thank you so much for giving us your time today. There will be a recording. You're going to get emails from me and Fermat about all this. You're going to hear from all of our partners that showed up and helped today. Please be nice and respect them. That's what enable us to bring all of this content to you for free. Go to either my Twitter or my LinkedIn. If you didn't get anybody's information, my most recent X post and my most recent LinkedIn post, I'm Aaron Orndorff, has full tags of everyone in them on both platforms. So go check those out to track down our speakers. Thank you so much. Round of applause to you. And until next time, see you soon.